What's happening, everybody? Your boy Dread is back in the building, and I got a special guest on my sports show today. His name is SOAOutlaw, and we halfway through the NFL's regular season, and we're going to talk about this year's biggest surprises, biggest disappointments, and the front runner for the MVP. Outlaw, take it away.
What's up, people? This is the SOAOutlaw. I'd like to thank the TheDreadMan for having me on. And my biggest surprise of this NFL season has to be Cam Newton, quarterback of the Carolina Panthers. They took him first overall in the draft. And, man, this guy's been a playmaker. He's been getting it done on his feet and through the air. And overall, this kid has been amazing. And I think Carolina's found their franchise QB for years to come.
Thanks, man. Now, the biggest surprise of the NFL season for me has to be the Detroit Lions. Now, let's face it, they ain't never really been a top caliber team, at least not since the Barry Sanders days. Sometimes not even really did, because he was their whole team. But regardless, they did a pretty good job of building the staff, around the Detroit Lions, or building a pretty good team. The defensive side, they got a Dominican Sue, they got Megatron, aka Calvin Johnson, and Matthew Stafford, for only being in the league for a couple of years, he's not doing too bad for, a quarterback either. But, as far as them being a playoff contender, we'll see, because, they got the Packers and they got the Bears and they got the Vikings in their division. So, we'll just see how the rest of it goes. Now, anyway, the biggest disappointment of the season. Outlaw, take it away.
The biggest disappointment of this NFL season has to be Chris Johnson. I mean, look at the stats. Barely over 300 yards, averaging 3 yards a carry. He's splitting carries with his backup, Javon Raynor. I don't know what happened, whether it was the offensive line or, him losing motivation because of the contract extension. I'm not sure what happened. But fuck, Chris Johnson has definitely fallen off.
Thanks, Outlaw. You made some pretty good points, but I don't really think that should be held against them, because Chris Johnson on offense is really their only way to move the ball. But anyway, you did a pretty good job breaking that down. But as far as my biggest disappointment of this year, it's got to be Michael Vick and the Philadelphia Eagles team in general, because coming into the season, they were supposed to be billed as this year's dream team, the all-star team, drafting Nnamdi Asomugha and having a heavily built offense around them. And, they have one of the lowest ranked records in the league. And Michael Vick, he's not really consistent, or he's not as consistent as he's supposed to be, with him being a dual-threat quarterback, having a good arm, and him being able to run the ball when need be. But, he's been throwing picks like crazy. He's been getting sacked a lot more often. And, not everybody on the offense, except for Deshaun Jackson, is really doing a lot to step up. But, I say the Philadelphia Eagles, if they're going to, make any kind of adjustments, or if they want any shot at the playoffs this year, they need to not lose another game for the rest of the season. Anyway, to close this out, who do you think is going to be the front runner for this year's MVP?
And now my MVP candidates. I have 3 of them. Number 1, Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. He's having a hell of a season, coming off that Super Bowl win from last year. 24 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. He's got the best receiving core in the league. Man's just killing it right now. Number 2, Buffalo Bills running back Fred Jackson. This guy's been a workhorse all season long. He's had consistent 100-yard games, and he's been the number 1 ranked running back in fantasy football circles throughout the season. So I would definitely consider him an MVP candidate at this point. Yeah, you can make an argument for LaShawn McCoy and Adrian Peterson, but I think Jackson is deserving. And number 3, Megatron, Calvin Johnson of the Lions. What can I say more about this guy? He's fucking amazing. 11 receiving touchdowns this year, the most out of any NFL receiver. Almost has 1,000 yards receiving on the year. The guy is a playmaker. Him and Matt Stafford are quite possibly the best quarterback receiver tandem right now. And that's going to do it for me. I'd like to thank the TheDreadMan for having me on. Big ups to you, man. Keep doing your thing. Subscribe to his channel if you haven't, and also subscribe to my channel, youtube.com/theSOAOutlaw. I'm out. Peace.
Yeah, Outlaw, I don't really believe that a Green Bay Packers fan or just an NFL fan in general can really argue with you about Aaron Rodgers being the front runner for this year's MVP award. But who I think should win it, and people are going to think I'm weird for this, but even though he hasn't played one single game this year, I think that Peyton Manning should be the only inactive player to ever win the MVP award. And the reason why is because, look at the Colts. They're doing horrible. And the Indianapolis Colts were originally my pick for this year's biggest disappointment, because, they say that one man can't make a difference, but apparently that's not the case, because Peyton Manning makes all the difference in the world. I mean, look at the numbers they put up with him versus the numbers they put up without him. And I don't know why people constantly compare Peyton Manning to Tom Brady, because I always thought that Peyton Manning was the better quarterback. I mean, and look at the 2009 season. That's what proves it the most, because I think, well, Bill Belichick makes a bigger difference. I'm not saying that Tom Brady's not talented. I just think that in the right situation that Peyton Manning is the better quarterback than Tom Brady, because that season they had an 11-5 record, so they could do good with or without Tom Brady thanks to Bill Belichick's coaching. But that's just me. I think that Peyton Manning should be the only inactive player to ever win an MVP award. But anyway, thanks for being on the show, Outlaw. I appreciate it. So all my sport fans, go hit up his page, subscribe to him, show him some love. Anyway, drop your comments, drop your knowledge. You know, who do you think should be the front runner for this year's MVP? What was this year's biggest shocker to you? And what was this year's biggest disappointment? Anyway, this is the Dread Man and my boy SOAOutlaw out.